Welcome to TTT Radio Sports. I'm your host, Zayas Hamilton.
And Sasha Collins here with you as well.
And we're here to bring you the sporting roundup for the sporting activities that happen this week. But before we start, we just want to introduce ourselves to the listeners. I'm Zayas Hamilton, a avid Chelsea man. And we have
Sasha Collins here with you, an advocate for sports, I love every sports that there is. And, I am undoubtable Man United fan.
So it's going to be very interesting this season. Two rivals. But we're going to discuss it in a open way, not being biased. But we're going to defend our team to the end. But before we get into who we are and our likes and dislikes in sports, we have the roundup of this week's sporting activities, and we start with the Manning Cup. Calabar 6, Arden 1. Calabar is making a bounce back from a disappointing loss to Casey on the opening day. I think Calabar lost 5-1 on the opening day, but they have made a recovery. I think they drew with Waterford 1-1, and they end up beating Arden 6-1 this week. Kingston College continued to roll in terms of their victory. They were victorious over Meadowbrook 3-1. Waterford in a very controversial game. Sachin can tell a little bit more about this.
Controversial indeed, very controversial.
They were 3-2 winners over Georges. Holy Trinity they lost 2-4 to Jamaica College, and Norman Manley beat Spanish Town 3-0, and there was a drawn game with Stats and Jonathan Grant 2-2. You want to just expand on the Georges game, Sachin?
Well, for the Georges game, Georges went down to Waterford 3-2, but however, a lot of Georges fans are unhappy because the conditions and the terrains of the field, one could argue that it's the same field the Waterford players playing on, and I'm not choosing any side here, despite, the hint of biasness. I'm not choosing any sides here. But, I believe that if it is that you're going to host a match, then your field should be of its best capable standards. And I say that because I understand that, not every school in Jamaica is blessed with the turf of, let's say, a Winchester Park or a JC or so forth. I understand that. But do it to the best capabilities of your resources. And something as simple as the lining of the field, that was an issue, right? The terrain of the field, while I can look past that, because like I said, not every school is going to be blessed with, the Winchester Parks and so forth.
The lush green grass.
Right. But at least the lining of the field, that's something that you should not be compromising on.
So you're saying that the game should not have been played?
Well, I wouldn't say it should not have been played, because if you were there and the match have already started, but the ref should have taken into consideration that the halting of the game would have thrown off the St. George's players, for them to come and get resettled again and refocus again and so forth. So if it is that the field is unplayable, then don't play it, right? If it is that the match have started and the players are complaining, then take that into consideration. You can't turn a blind eye to that.
Certainly. I'm not sure that we're going to agree with everything, but I agree with that one. That
right,
position
right.
this season. If we look at the standings in the group, Casey is leading in Group A on 9 points, perfect from 3 starts. Waterford in second place on 7 points with 2 wins and a draw. St. George's in third with 2 wins, and also they have a loss from 3 games. Calabar has a win and a draw out of their 3 games so far. And the cellar dwellers in Group A are Arden and Meadowbrook, yet to register a win. So if we look at Group B, usual suspects are leading. Jamaica College is on 7 points with 2 wins and a draw so far. St. Catherine, a similar 7 points with 2 wins and a draw. St. Jago, 2 wins and 1 loss so far. And the cellar dwellers in this Group B is Holy Trinity, Cedar Grove, and St. Mary's College, yet to register a point in this group. Anything in this particular group that you'd want to mention, Sachin?
Alright, let me see the standings. So this is the Jamaica College group. Jamaica College 7. St. Catherine. St. Catherine seemed like a surprising package there to me.
Very much so.
It seemed like they have some good things happening down there. My surprise here though is Holy Trinity. I was expecting Holy Trinity to be riding close to JC in this group right here. But, stranger things have happened in football. And one of the things I've noted is that, a lot of these teams who weren't, let's say,
traditional,
rubbing shoulders with the traditional school,
Yes.
you find a lot of them coming up through the ranks now because the transition through COVID have somewhat leveled some of the playing fields. So you find that a school like, let's say, Stats,
Yes.
right, isn't doing too bad in recent years, because you find that some of the traditional schools, their progress have been halted through, COVID conditions and so forth. So the playing field has somewhat, just a little bit been leveled some more.
And I think there's a backstory with Holy Trinity as well. I think they have changed their coach that they have had there for, I think, the last 3 to 4 years. And he has moved on to greener pastures, I think. So I think they're struggling because they're with their consistent coach that they have had for quite a bit of years. I think he has gotten another job at another school.
Right.
We were in, when I'm saying we were in, I'm a Calabar old boy, so I can speak from it. We were searching for a coach.
Right.
Or we were looking for this coach. I think interviewed for the job. I think Mr. Price emerged as a coach, but I think they are struggling. All the children is struggling because they are without their normal coach. Moving on to Group C, IL Selassie is leading the group. 4 games played and they're on 10 points. They have won 3 games and they have drawn 1. They have not lost. Leading over Charlie Smith, which is a surprise to me. I think that Charlie Smith would have been leading this group, but they have drawn 2 games out of their 4 so far, so they're on 8 points. Edith Dalton James are on 6, Tivoli on 4, Bridgeport on 4, and Vauxhall on 1 point.
I think Bridgeport is a surprise in that group right there,
Yes.
Because in recent years, going back to the days of Jackie Walters,
Yes.
Bridgeport have had good performances through the ranks coming up. But in recent years, they have fallen down the pecking order somewhat.
Yes, indeed. I think it's also a coaching issue as well, because I think that Bridgeport had a coach that went on to greater things, that he was coaching, I think, Waterhouse at a point in time. So the coach that would have brought them glory in their former years, I think he moved on to greener pastures as well. So coaching change is having some impact on the teams that are there. All right, in Group D, we were mentioning Stats earlier. Stats is leading this group with
That is it.
4 games played, 3 wins and a draw. Norman Malley comes second with 6 points. They have 2 wins so far and a draw. 2 wins so far. Jonathan Grant, Tarrant, Dunoon, and Spanish Town yet to score a point in this after 3 games. Group E, Mona. I think Mona is not a surprise team this year. I think they did very well. They think they made it to, was it the Walker Cup final last year?
I believe so, and I think they have the name is right there. It's right there. It's right. Leon Bailey is that. The name is right there.
That's right.
Butler.
That's
right.
Craig Butler.
Right. He's on that side of the country as well.
Yes, indeed.
Stirring up some cans up there. Very controversial individual.
Very, very controversial. And I think there was some controversy in how they finished last year as well. They used an overage play and they were booted out of the thing. But he has a very nice feeder program from his Phoenix club that is feeding into Mona, and Mona is continuing to perform well. Against some good opposition as well. They're leading a group that has in Wolmer's and Idle and Camperdown, are predominantly strong teams.
Right.
So they're leading on 12 points. They haven't lost a game so far. Wolmer's has the same points. It's just a matter of goal difference. Goal difference that is there. Idle is on 6 points, Camperdown on 4. I think Camperdown had an issue with another school. Can you remind me? I think they had a major bust up with a school, and I think about 2 or 3 players got suspended.
I saw the clipping, but I didn't read the details of it. But I saw the clipping of it.
I think there was a fight between them and some Papine
Right,
student.
right, right. It was
Yeah,
Papine. It
yeah,
was Papine for real. I saw the clipping, but I didn't read the details of it. But you find that discipline
yeah.
is one of the things that is at the forefront of the table in recent days because,
Indiscipline.
right, you find that the players coming back after COVID, a lot
Yes.
of these players come back aggressive, very aggressive.
Yeah, I mean, we're stretching sport, but if you're looking at the wider society as well, in the school community, there are a lot of fights I'm seeing on the internet. There's a lot of
Right,
fights in
right.
various schools.
Right.
Almost like they're not able to socialize with one another. They're unable to socialize with each other. So we're seeing
So
a lot of fighting taking place, and of course, with the advent of social media, everything is out there
Right,
in the
right.
in the public domain.
So
you know.
true, so true. And the individualization of some of these players as well. A player believes that I must market myself, I must represent myself. So anything happen on the field, it's being recorded, and man is going to see it. I must show, I must defend,
Yeah.
I must show who I am, I must man it out.
Man it out.
Right. Because I've seen situations where, you take one for the team.
Yes.
You take one for the team. If you go down, you go down. Hopefully, the next player can get a yellow or a red. That's
Yes.
taking one for the team.
Yes.
In recent times, youngsters, they're going to defend it.
Yeah,
They're
man.
going to defend it.
Yeah, man. Sadly, that's the reality that is there. And of course, everything is a movie now. Everything is seen. Unlike in older days, these things might have been happening. But we didn't have a chance to see it. But once it pops, we're gonna see it on the internet.
So true.
The final group is Group F, and Excelsior is leading this group. They have on 10 points. Of course, they have won 3 games so far, and they have drawn 1. They're leading Campion College, which is a surprise to me. Campion usually are cellar dwellers in terms of their performance in the Money Cup, but they're doing pretty good here. They have not lost a game. They have drawn 2. And they have won 2 so far. KT is another school that usually is there and thereabout in terms of Manning Cup. They are in 3rd place on 4 points. They have won 1 game. They have drawn 1. They are on 4 points. Ozamate, Cumberland, and Clancarty bring up Stacey, and Clancarty is a cellar dweller in this group. So that's the Manning Cup roundup. Sasha will now take you through the Costa Cup roundup, which is much lengthier than the Manning Cup.
I'll keep it as short as possible. I know TTT Radio is in the heart of Kingston, but nonetheless, I am a country boy, so to speak. So I can't leave out the Costa Cup, right?
Of course.
As Sir Hamilton said, it's a bit longer, so we're going to try to keep it as short as possible. Zone A, we have Irwin leading Zone A and 9 points. We have Cornwall College, a bit of a surprise right there. Cornwall College is usually up there, rubbing shoulders with the top of the top in the D Cup region.
Yes.
Right, so that's a little bit of a surprise right there. We also have Greenpan, another school that have, been on a roller coaster of a ride. The up, I can go back to the year of about 2016, there about when they were up. Then they went down about 2018, there about. Right, so they've been on a little bit of a roller coaster. On the bottom of this group, we have Anchovy, yet to register a point. They have lost every game thus far.
Yeah, as you were saying, that CC is a big name school in terms of the Costa Cup.
Right.
You expect them to be at the top. They're about every year. I'm thinking about, what can you say about Irving? I think over the last couple of years, they have been performing well.
Right. And I believe there are some changes in coaching staff down there as well. So it goes back to what you were saying earlier about the changing in coaching and each coach bringing their own philosophy. And you find that the philosophy of some coach just sticks. It's just adhesive to some school in particular, while it can be the opposite of some school. Because I've seen good coaches gone to schools that are
struggled.
Traditionally at the top, and the schools struggle.
That's right.
Right? They struggle. I can remember the year. I'm trying to remember his name. He was in Manchester. He was at Stets, and then he left and he went to Manchester. He was coaching the national under 14 at one point in time, I believe. I'm trying
Was
to
it
remember.
Edwards?
Edwards.
Yes,
That
yes,
is it.
yeah,
That
man.
is it.
Yeah.
Edwards. Right. I remember when he went to Monroe.
Yes.
And at the time, Monroe went on a recruiting spree. Monroe went on a recruiting spree at the time, and I believe Monroe didn't pass the second round. I believe that was 2017.
And he's a top coach.
Right.
That gentleman is a top coach. I think he has even left our shores and has gone overseas and has run programs overseas. And,
Right,
you know,
right.
So just to add to your point that sometimes you get a big name coach, it just no work.
Right, because sometimes the philosophy of that coach is just not parallel to the philosophy of the school.
That's
right.
Correct. That's
because
correct.
You have schools who would say, all right, let's build. Right, let's take these players. We're gonna build them. Not saying we're not gonna do the recruiting here and there, but if you go back to coming into the Manning Cup, if you go back to about 2016, 2017, there about. Oral Tracy said it best.
Mm-hmm.
JC was known as JCFC.
Yes.
So it was Jamaica College Football Club.
Yes, indeed.
Right.
Indeed.
Right. It was JCFC because they were recruiting left, right, and center all around.
And I tell you, recruiting in sport has really transcended, because I tell you, if we shift our focus and we start looking at Casey in terms of track and field, we're seeing a lot of African athletes are coming left, right, and center. So the recruitment has really stepped up. Because there's a lot of notoriety and bragging rights as it relates to schoolboy football and track and field, etc. So the recruiting is going to be very, very strong.
But sometimes, there are two sides, or maybe even more than two sides to the story. Because when you look at it, right, I was at a cook shop some time ago, and I was listening to a mom. And she was saying that her son was at George's, but she's saying that her son cannot make it into the squad at George's. So she said she transferred him to Excelsior.
Yeah.
Right? She transferred him to Excelsior, hoping that he can make the squad there. And I'm saying, why did you transfer him to Excelsior? And she was saying that because I don't have the finances to get him into college. That is his route into college.
Yes.
So I have to get him somewhere where he can capitalize on that route. So a lot of time these transfers happen.
Yes.
We're looking at it from the school standpoint to say,
there's
the school is doing this, the school is, but you have to look on the standpoint of the
scholarship,
benefits, of getting a scholarship. Because
quite so.
The reality is that a lot of these players aren't from backgrounds where financially parent. And I say parent because sometimes it is one.
Yes.
Where parents are financially stable.
Yeah,
so if the opportunity presents itself,
we're working in Jamaica.
Right. Even if it's at a next school, I believe that the opportunity can be capitalized on. So we have to understand that there are both sides, are more than one sides to each of these stories. Moving on. So we're moving on to Zone B.
Sure.
Rossies, no surprise here, leading this group on 9 points rather. Froome follows on 6, Green Island on 3, Hopewell yet to register a point, Merlin Otti also yet to register a point. I think this group was scripted from the beginning.
Yes.
Right, this group was scripted from the beginning.
I remember when I was at school, listening to the Costa Cup and Rossies. Because they have a high, I think, academic standard in their school. I don't know how it is now. But I remember the broadcast at a point in time, the team ran out. And he said that there goes 121 CXC subject or something like that. So the team was introduced. For other schools, it wasn't that way. But Rossies, back in the day when I was at school, had a very high academic standard down there,
Right.
I'm wondering if those levels are still being maintained. I'm not sure.
I believe it is, man, because the Russians down there, they balance it very well.
Yes.
Academics and sports and involvement in other extracurricular activities.
And the balance is important.
Always
important.
Right. The balance is always important because you don't want to become an FC, as Oral Chase would put it, a JCFC. Not saying they don't balance academic as well, right? Because I know they don't. I know they prioritize on academics at JC
as well.
Definitely as well, right? Moving on to Zone C.
Yes.
We have William Knibb leading that group on 6 points, followed by Cedric Titus on 6 points, Herbert Morrison 4, Spot Valley 1, Mushet yet to register a point. I think this is one of those groups where
non-footballing schools.
You're just gonna have to be the better team on the day.
Yes, indeed,
right? You're just gonna have to be the better team on the day. And here we have William Nib and Cedric Titus being the better schools on their days, right? Because in years back, you find that Herbert Morrison and Spot Valley would have also pulled from this group. So you just have to be the better team on that day, right? Zone D, we have very interesting group here. Mannings. We have Mannings leading on 12, almost perfect. They've won 4 in a row. Petersfield on 9, Godfrey Stewart on 4, Balmont on 3, Black River on 2, and Grange Hill on 1.
I think the surprise in this group is Black River.
Black River. You know, Black River have always been an interesting school, you know, because the thing is that Black River was moved from, I believe, Zone E.
Okay.
Black River was in Zone E up until about 2017 or 2018. One of those seasons, Black River got pulled from Zone E because Black River in Zone E would have been they would have been rubbing for third to fourth spot.
Yes.
You know, between, let's say, Magati and Lakova thereabout. They were right thereabout, you know. So sometime, you know, they might edge it for third or they might edge it for fourth, somewhere thereabout. But, you know, Stetson Monroe would have competed for first and second there.
Yes. Yeah.
But since Black River now got over into Zone D, where you have a stronger contingency in terms of Godfrey Stewart, Mannings, Petersfield, it's a little bit more competitive for them over there. And that's a school that I can attest to as well, that the sporting programs and the sporting philosophies have taken huge hits over the years. There was a point when I believe it was the football program was even cut, if I'm not mistaken. I believe the football program was even cut at a point in time, right? So it's a school that have been on a roller coaster of a ride. So I think they're on a regrowth, so to speak. So let's wish them all the best and see how it ends up here.
Indeed.
You know, they haven't won a game so far. They've drawn 2 and they've lost 1 in a row. So let's see how they turn out. Moving down to Zone E, you know, one of the most interesting of all these groups, right? We have Stets leading. No surprise there. No surprise as well. We have Monroe on 10. Stets is on 12. BB Coke is one of those schools as well that have been on the rise in recent years.
Yes.
Right? They have been on the rise in recent years. I believe they won. Was it the? It's not the Doncaster Cup. They won the Ben Francis. Was it Ben Francis?
I think so.
Was it Ben Francis? I know they won a trophy in recent years.
Or they made a major final.
Finals, I believe. They made some serious strides in recent years.
I can't remember them. I think they were very prominent. I think last year.
Right.
The year before, I think. I'm not sure they went on to win the Ben Francis, but I think they probably were in a finals. Yeah. Right.
I know they made some stride in recent years. We have Lakovia, Magati on 4 points, Lakovia on 4 points here as well. And Sydney Pagan, who are yet to register a point. They have lost every game.
Is Sydney Pagan a new school to the Doncaster Cup?
It's not that they are new. The name have actually changed. Okay. So it was actually Roger Clark High first, right? Okay. And now it is Sydney Pagan High. Or is it the other way? Right. So it was Roger Clark High first because it's an agricultural school, so to speak, or was an agricultural school, so to speak, you know. But it have now been transformed into, you know, a normal high school. But it was usually agricultural school. So, you know, they're still making the transition into the ranks. So let's give them some time there. About Zone F, we have Manchester leading and 9, the Carteret and 4. No surprise for those two there as well. We have Belfield also on 4. Belair on 3 points. St. Joseph on 3. Mayday yet to register a point. Homewood in Zone G leading on 7 points. Christiana leading on 4. We also have Alfonso Davis High. Alfonso's
Davis High.
Is this a new school?
Well, to me, this sounds very, very new.
Yeah, I haven't heard.
That's why I was asking about significant, because I've heard significant, but I'm just hearing it in recent times.
Recent times.
Yeah.
that school have been rebranded, man.
Yeah,
like I
sure,
said, but
sure.
this is I'm trying to figure out this school. Listeners, if you know this school, I'm not trying to be disrespectful to any school, genuinely not. Just correct me if I'm wrong. But they're actually up at third, so it means that they're doing some
their
good
program.
work, right?
Yes, their program is flourishing, and they're in a group that seem to be highly competitive. They can come out of this group. Christian is tied with points with them, so
Right. So they still have a way out.
Mile
Gully yet to register a point and 0 points at the seller of that group. Edwin Allen leading Group H on 7 points, followed by Clarendon College. A little bit of a surprise there.
Yeah,
Some
it's another
persons would
traditional
say,
school as well.
right. I have a colleague who say Clarendon College is the only school in Jamaica. He's a strong advocate of his alma mater.
Yes.
But no surprise. We're expecting Clarendon College to in fact come out of the group. Lennon up at third. Lennon have been right about there in recent years, knocking on the door.
Indeed.
Knocking on the door, waiting for. I believe they won the Ben Francis. Which year was it? Was it 2019
Very recent.
or 18?
Very recent.
I believe it was either 18 or 19. They won the
Certainly
Ben Francis.
the last 3 to 4 years ago.
Right, so they have been knocking on the door right about there. Thompson Town on 1 point, and this is Kellitz.
Yes.
High.
Yes.
Yet to register a point.
I know most of these names from championship.
Right.
At champs. I'm not too sure that these are footballing schools, but I said they're participating in football, which is always good.
True. So a lot of these schools, they try to expand. Because a lot of them are relatively new school, let's say about a 20 or a 30 years thereabouts. So they're trying to rub shoulders, so to speak, with the rest of the
It's
crowd.
good, and it's an expansion of the program, which is really good, because some of these schools are centrally focused on one sport,
Right.
one dimensional. So it's good when you see them involving themselves in Manning Cup and track and field and cricket and so forth and so on.
True.
It's good for the program.
Very well. Zone I, we have York Castle leading that one on 7. We have Ocho Race on 6 points, Araka Bessa also on 6, Brownstone on 4, and Marcus Garvey yet to register a point here. They have lost everything thus far. So York Castle looking to be heading out. We still have a battle for second between Ocho Race and Araka Bessa. In farm, they're actually tied in farm as well. They have 1-2 and they have both lost 2. So let's see how that group plays out. A real battle there for second. Moving straight ahead to Zone J. The D Cup is very lengthy. We have Taki.
As indicated before.
Right. We have Taki leading Zone J on 8 points. We have Horace Clark also on 8 points. St. Mary High on 6. St. Mary Technical on 5. And Nottaby on 3. And Wycliffe on 2 points right there. So this is a very interesting group again. Let's see how this one closes out. Dintil, the big bad Dintil in Zone K. Perfect. 15 points, 5 from 5. Followed by Charlie Mount and 12.
I think they're one of about 4
9.
teams that have not lost anything in the Dacosta Cup so far.
I believe Dintil is one. Stets is one as well.
And Paul Bogle.
And Paul Bogle is the other one.
Yes.
And mentioning Paul Bogle, going down to Zone L. They're also perfect.
Yes.
5 from 5. Yalas comes in second on 9 points, followed by Seafort on 8. And Morant Bay on 7. And St. Thomas Technical is in that group at 5th and 4th. So this is a group where, first have been decided, but the second spot is still there up for grabs between 3 schools, Yala, Seafort, Morant, and Morant Bay. So let's see how that group turn out. Then we have Zone N, another Clarendon group. Here we have Glenmore leading on 6, Central on 6, Denby on 4, Old Harbour on 3, and Titus Golden on 1. Right. So this is another interesting group here as well. A real battle here between Glenmore and Central, and also them being there as well for that first spot. Zone N, we have Veer leading that one. Mark Garvey Mosey on 4, Fogo Road on 4, Kemsill on 1, William Jones on 0, yet to register a point. And the final group, Zone O, in the Dacosta Cup. First we have Port Antonio on 4, Titchfield on 4, Happy Grove on 2, and Fair Prospect on 0 points, yet to have won a game thus far. So this is another group that, it's been closely watched because anything can change with just one win.
Ding dong battle between Port Antonio and Titchfield.
One win can change the entire dynamics of this group. So we're watching this group closely. And that would be a roundup for the Dacosta Cup.
Oh, that one is a mouthful.
Yes, a very, very lengthy. Very, very lengthy. That's how the D Cup is.
We're going to take a break, and when we come back, we'll be dribbling in some international football. Taking a break. TTT Radio, where prayer never ceases and together we transform lives.
Hey guys, my name is Cheyenne Freeman Wilson, and you're tuned into Trenchdown Transformational Radio, where prayer never ceases and together we transform lives.
Stay tuned to TTT Radio, where prayer never ceases and together we transform lives. Welcome back to TTT Radio. We had to catch our breath from that last update with the Dacosta Cup and Manning Cup.
Quite a mouthful indeed.
Quite a mouthful. We'll be dribbling into some international friendlies, some matches that took place over this last week. Some notable results. England, they lost to Italy 1-0, and they have been relegated to, is it Group B? In the nation qualifiers. This is a big shocker.
England, I have a friend last week who told me that undoubtable, England is winning the World Cup. No questions asked. Confidently.
Boy.
No questions asked.
Certainly not on based on this form.
No. Personally, I think the biggest problem with the England national team is the Premier League. It sounds so controversial. But you find that the Premier League is the most competitive, the most watched, the most debated league there is. So you find that players, they are
affinity towards the Premier League.
Loyalty to the clubs spill over into the dressing room. I was listening to an interview some time ago with John Terry, Frank Lampard, and I believe it was Scholes.
Yes.
And, that was the golden generation of England.
Yeah, man.
Right.
3 former Chelsea players as well.
If I should Scholes is a Man U.
Oh, Scholes. I think you said Cole. Okay, go on.
And they were there, and they were saying that they would be in the dressing room and they would not talk to each other.
Yes.
Like you would
I
be,
listen. I
you're
listen
gearing
that.
up.
Yes,
You're
I listen
I am
that.
here gearing up, but you're a
Yeah,
Chelsea
man.
man.
Yeah, man. And
Right, and
I think Ferdinand was a part of that discussion as well, and he's a
I
Man U
believe
man.
so.
I think,
I
yes,
believe so.
I remember that quite vividly. I remember that discussion. So they were not together as a team.
No, they weren't. Because the divisions of the club spill over into the dressing
rivalry
rooms.
was so strong. Yes, it dressed
Right.
over. Yes.
If you go back to the 2000 and early 2000, the Man U Arsenal rivalry there about Wenger and Ferguson.
Yes.
That
Yes.
rivalry came over into the dressing room as well.
It's interesting that you said that, Justin, but I remember that, and I said to myself, maybe that is the reason why this team has not really achieved.
That is it, right? I see your technical staff supporting as well. That is it, man. Because England have always have a team that can compete.
Exactly.
Always. The Premier League produces those players.
That's great.
But you find that the intensity of the Premier League steals away from the cohesiveness of that. I will confess that in recent years, with the younger generation, because what you find is that
much more camaraderie.
Right, because these boys, remember from the under 17, with the Sancho and the Tammy Abraham, those boys have been
gelling together.
Right, so
so there's less friction within the national setup.
Right.
I agree with you.
Because if you even note on social media, you realize these boys, they go on holidays together and they chill, they relax, they meet families. So I will confess that in recent years, you find
it's gotten better.
Right, the gap is somewhat bridging.
Yes.
Right. But let's wait and see. Let's wait and see how it plays out.
Just to cement your point, based on current form, England can't carry this World Cup home. Sad to say. They have been woeful in terms of form. They have since the Euros, they have lost all their games. They have not won a game since the Euros. And they're at the very bottom of this group in the Nations Cup. Something has to change.
But what do you think the problem is with the squad? Not the psychology, but with the squad itself.
Well, as you said, you indicated it. I think you say a lack of cohesiveness, and I think that, and then you're playing some persons that I believe that you're playing them out of position as well.
There we go.
You're playing some persons out of position, and obviously you're probably not picking the correct squad. There are persons on the bench that could give you an impact, and you're bringing them far too late in my view, and there's just no synergy that is out there. Almost like you put in 11 guys together and there's just no synergy in terms of the football. So they look very disorganized, very disjointed in their approach, and I believe that the focus is too much on a Hurricane to provide the goals. So you need other persons from midfield coming up and stepping up, and a lot of pressure is being made to be beer on people like Saka and Sterling,
right,
and of course, and a Foden, and of course they're looking for Hurricane, and I have my own views about that, and I won't share that at this point in time. But something needs to change with the team, to have that kind of gelling. But the present form, I see them exiting the World Cup in the first round. If they don't improve.
England have always had a good squad, like I said. I think it's just management, in my opinion, right? Along with the intensity of the Premier League spilling over. But Southgate is a coach where this is what I'm playing. This is what I'm playing. These are the players that I'm using. Despite your performance,
yes,
this is what I'm playing. Because when I swing cross over to Italy and I look at Tomori,
yes,
one of the best in Italy right now. And Tomori is struggling to break into the England squad. One of the best in Italy. Yes. Right? When we look to Tammy Abrahams, he have been in and out there about, but he is banging them in Italy, and I believe he should be given a bit more focus than he's given right now.
And you're persisting with a Hurricane, and the goals are not coming at the international level.
Not.
And you're stubborn in your ways, and you don't want to make changes. So
right. Well, let's see. Let's see how it plays out, But it's an interesting one to watch. They are one of the teams that I have up there as a surprise, because if they do make it out and make it into at least the quarters, that's going to be a surprise for me. Because I'm not expecting them to reach very far in this World Cup.
It'll certainly be a surprise for me, based on their present form. If they make it out, to the round of 16 or the round, I'll be very surprised based on the form that I'm presently seeing. Another game that was played in this international break was Brazil and Ghana.
That is my side. That is it.
I think that is almost everybody's team. Brazil. Most persons. Brazil is certainly not my team.
I don't like when people say Brazil is everybody team. Because you see, you have to understand, Brazil is the hip strip of football. The Brazilian players market themselves social media wise. So for the young female who don't know nothing about football but see Neymar and say, oh, so I'm cute, she's now a Brazil fan. Ronaldinho, you know this back in the days, that would have been the case. Just the skills and the flick and the flair, a lot of persons fell in love with him and became Brazil fans. So Brazil is just, very attractive versus other teams that are a bit more rough around the edges. Brazil football, the samba football, it flows, it's attractive. So they got a lot of fans. My affiliation with Brazil, came about, I don't even remember. Way back. I supported Brazil before I supported Manchester United. Yes. That's way back. I had a Brazil flag that I would glue to my bag during World Cup time when I was going to school. So, it's from way back there. But in terms of
my reason for saying that, if you watch around World Cup time, Jamaica and on a whole, you're gonna see Brazil flags
everywhere.
Because
it's the most marketable team. It's the one that people see the most.
True.
Alright, look at this.
Sure.
How many Jamaican fans that are German fans? I'm not saying there aren't any, I know there are quite a few,
but certainly
but
not
in your circle.
No,
how many
not many.
Not
a few.
Right,
not many.
Exactly.
Not many.
So Brazil it's marketed a lot by its players.
That's
the
correct.
lifestyle that the players live, it markets Brazil team a lot.
And the style of play as well. And you have said it earlier. The style of play as well, the flicks and so forth. And I think we grew up in Jamaica wanting to see somebody pile somebody solid somebody.
Right.
You know what I mean? So that football, that brand of football appeals to us. So I think that is really where the affinity is towards Brazil, because of the way they play. As I said before, the whole appeal, the appeal of their players as well.
Right.
Is one of the big things that's there. So they beat Ghana 3-0. I understand it could have been a lot more. I didn't actually see this game. There were 2 goals from Richarlison. He's getting some playing time, which is really good for him and his confidence, and will help him in the Tottenham team when the league starts back. But they beat Ghana 3-0. The next fixture was Japan versus USA, and Japan was 2-0 winners against USA.
Japan have been a surprise package over the years. Japan is one of those teams that will just sneak up and sting you from nowhere. They'll just sneak up and sting you from nowhere, from the days of Honda and coming up there. Those guys will just sneak up and sting you from nowhere. But the US though, the US, I'm not seeing the US of old.
No.
I'm really not seeing the US of old. And it's so funny because they have, quote unquote, their golden generation now. When you look at
precisely
the Pulisic and the Reina and the McKennie and so forth, they have their quote unquote golden generation. They have the Wayers, and I believe
I think that's been hit and miss for the US. For one reason or another, they are not as consistent a team as they used to be. They'll certainly win in the CONCACAF.
Right.
But when it goes on to the international stage, they struggle a bit.
But let me ask this question though, because star players, so to speak, can do good for a team.
Yes.
And they can also do bad for a team.
Also damage the team as well.
Right. Because I remember the US of about, let's say, 2010 up to about 2016 there about. I believe that would have been the London Donovan, and the Josie Altidore, the Clint Dempsey.
Yes.
Right. In the CONCACAF, it was US and Mexico. That is it.
Yes.
US and Mexico, right? That team would have, challenged in Europe. Yeah, they would have made it out of the group and so forth. They would have, rubbed shoulders.
Very, very competitive.
Right, they would have rubbed shoulders in Europe. But now you find that the team is more star-studded in terms of the Pulisic, where
they play.
Right, the way they play, because they're
those
feeding the play towards him.
Usually play in the US. And most of their players now are all over the world playing international football.
Right, because back in those times that I'm referring to, I believe their midfield had is it Brady?
Mm-hmm.
Brady? Is it Brady? I believe it's Brady,
yes,
man.
I think he had a Brady, yes.
Yeah, there's a Brady, and he was playing in the MLS, and he
Yes.
was maestro in the midfield every game, pulling the strings every game.
Yes.
Right? And he knows that, all right, my responsibility here is not. He would play similar to a Busquets.
Yes.
My best game is when I'm not seen.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I'm just here. I'm just performing. I'm
X's
just
and
closing this line across the defense.
That's
what
correct.
he was doing, right?
Yes.
But you find that with the US now, the style of play is a little bit more open towards their star-studded players, the McKennie and the Reina and the Pulisic
Pulisic.
and so forth. You know, because those are the guys that really sell out a stadium, so to speak.
Mm-hmm.
So they have to be featured. So I think that could be affecting the performance of the US team in terms of the overall performance of the team itself.
I agree. And you know, just to highlight your point you're saying about the star players in terms of Pulisic, he wasn't there for this Japan game because he picked up a knock, and they seem to have struggled. They didn't have any kind of imagination
There
up
we
front.
go. There we
You know
go.
what I mean? And they're relying heavily on him, which is, you know, probably part and parcel of the problem that you're relying so heavily on these players. And when they don't show up for games, the team itself struggles. Yes. Another major game that was played in this friendly was Germany versus Hungary. And the Germany lost 1-0 to Hungary, which is a major surprise. But I kind of find whenever Bayern Munich struggles, Germany struggles. And Bayern Munich has been going to a little flat spot now, and it is coming over into their
Germany.
Yeah, it's coming over into the Germany setup as well. And they lost 1-0 to Hungary. And them themselves are in a crisis in this Nation League. I think they're in about third place as well. I don't think they have been relegated, but I think they need to win their next game.
Right. But for Germany, though, you know, hopes for the Nation League, I'm not so sure.
Yeah.
But hopes for the World Cup.
Always a threat.
Right.
Always
hopes for
a
the
threat.
World Cup are high.
No
because,
matter how they look now.
you can never write off Germany.
This is a tournament team. It's a typical tournament team. Doesn't even matter how they look going into the tournament.
Expect
Once
them.
the first ball kicks in that tournament,
Right.
they're going to be there or thereabout.
True.
Yeah.
I mean, last World Cup, you know, that exit to Korea, you know, that last Heung-min Son goal,
Mm-hmm.
you know, that was something that would have been unscripted.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
But despite that, you cannot write off Germany. You know, you can, the mentality,
Those at your
the
period.
never say die,
Yeah,
the
man. Those-
attack mentality, you cannot write them off. And what we mentioned about the US a while ago, it's the opposite for Germany.
Yes.
It's a total opposite for Germany. So you find that for Germany, you pull out a Thomas Muller,
Yes.
perform the same.
Yes.
You pull out let's say there is only one player in Germany's squad right now, I believe you can pull out and it shakes up that team, and it
Yes,
has to be Kimmich,
Yes.
right? And
Yeah.
maybe Naya,
Yes.
right? If you pull out those two players, then you can maybe shake up the squad. But outside of that, I don't believe there's any other player you can pull out of that Germany squad to really shake up that team, apart from the Kimmich and Naya.
I agree. Another major result, Qatar, who is the host for this tour, the World Cup coming up, they lost 2-0 to Canada. What can we say about Canada? Canada has been a dark horse
In CONCACAF.
in CONCACAF,
CONCACAF.
but they seem to be playing good, attractive football. I like how they played in CONCACAF. A very solid team. No big names.
Well, they have the Davis. They have Alfonso.
One big name.
Right.
You know, one big name, but not a whole heap of big name players. But there is a very solid, hard running unit that is producing results.
Right. I believe they have a striker that plays in Lyon. I think it's Jonathan. I think his name is Davis as well. Jonathan. I don't remember the first name. I think it's Jonathan Davis. I'm not sure, but I know he plays in Lyon and he has been banging them in for
in
Lyon.
as well.
'Cause he came in after Depay left.
Mm-hmm.
After Depay left, he came in and he have been banging them in. So Canada is looking good,
Yes.
but and Qatar though, you know, I saw a clipping over the weekend and it was interesting because with Qatar there have been a lot of worms, you know, coming out of the can, so to speak, with Qatar right now, because they're saying that, you know, in football you have players who wear that pride armband,
Yes.
and some captains are advocates for that, and the Qatar FA right now is saying no, That cannot happen.
No.
That cannot happen in Qatar. So you find that right now, the staging of the World Cup, we know it will go on. Despite all the little controversy here and there, we know it will go on. But the comfort of players, and not just players, but spectators, so to speak, because remember in Qatar, certain drinking, smoking, partying, that lifestyle that comes with a World Cup atmosphere is a no-no.
Yeah, it's a no-no.
It's a no-no.
It's not going to happen. And I know that they're coming under immense pressure from the international community to relax a lot of their rules and their laws. And these guys are just not budging. And I say rightfully so. But that can be controversial in what I've said because, of course, other groups are going to take it in and say, we're discriminating.
Right, and that's true. But it's a thin line. It's a thin line, so to speak, because the World Cup is a business affair, right?
Yes.
And if you bid for a business affair, oftentimes you find that you have to confine to the obligations or
the host country.
the happenings of
Yes.
the host country.
Yes.
Right? So I am not sure where to stand on the issue to say that okay, they need to relax their rules and regulation, or patrons need to understand that okay, I'm in Rome, so I need to do as the Romans, right? So I'm not sure where I stand on that issue, if I'm being very honest.
I'm going to leave the politics out of the football and just stick to the football.
And just play the football.
Yeah, just play the football.
Right,
right. The last of the results that happened this week that I want to highlight is Argentina versus Honduras. And they won 3-0 against Honduras. And of course, this is another team that is always thereabout, flattened to deceive. They have reached, I think that the last one, maybe two out of the two of the last three finals, they have played bridesmaid in terms of reaching the finals and not lifting the cup.
Yeah, right.
And they have quite a useful looking squad this time around.
They do.
So what you have to say about the great Argentina?
I am expecting, well, for the World Cup that is, I'm expecting them to shake some legs, right? I'm expecting them to shake some legs, but despite the Lionel Messi bias in me,
yes,
I cannot say I'm expecting them to progress, maybe to the quarters or so forth, right? Because I think that front line right there, despite Martinez in good form, I think that front line is still lacking something.
Still weak.
That front line is still lacking something up there. The Messi and the Dybala, we're not expecting Messi to be the Messi and all to take up off the left and dribble come in and come in and so forth. I'm expecting more of a number 10 role from Messi, tucked out there a little bit closer to the inside, just to support Martinez. My question is, where does Dybala feature? Where does he feature in that Argentina squad?
I think that is an enigma in terms of his representation of Argentina. It does seem as if you can't find a place for him.
And that has been the case because Dybala is a Messi.
Yes.
Dybala is a Messi, right? So you can't fit him, or it's going to be extremely hard to fit him in that squad as long as Messi is in that squad, because it's not that he's not a good enough player to make the squad, right? He's a good enough player to make the squad.
Two similar players.
But it's just that you have two similar players.
Yeah. So
where do you fit him, right? I'm expecting them to perform. I'm expecting them to perform, but I can't say I'm expecting any surprises from Argentina, despite the Lionel Messi bias in me. It's just football.
I agree. I think that would have completed our roundup of the major matches. There were a few other games. I think Cameroon would have lost to Azerbaijan, which is a surprise. But outside of that, those were the major friendlies. And so there's some friendlies that are coming up next week. You wanted us add a few of those. I think Jamaica is going to play Argentina on Tuesday. That one comes to mind readily.
All right.
I'm not too sure if there's any other.
Let's start with that one, the Jamaica versus Argentina. Right now, as Jamaicans, we are hopeful thinkers, hoping for the best to happen. Is
the best saying that we want to limit the damage.
Right. But what do you think about the hope or the chances of Jamaica actually pulling the unthinkable over Argentina?
I think it's a difficult ask. The team itself, just based on how they have been prepared, it seems a little bit disjointed. I don't think they have had enough time. And of course, it's an age-old problem with putting together squads for Jamaica. We not seem to having the enough time to get the team ready. And there's just a lot of things surrounding the team that I believe that the issues are just creeping in. You know, we had Blake, who is the captain of the team, that was left off and is now reappointed. We have a new coach at the helm. He's getting to know the players and so forth. So I'm not expecting a great deal from this friendly. I'm just hoping that the team itself shows, some impetus and goes forward and see some good brand of football and kind of limit the damage. But I'm not expecting a win from the Jamaican team.
All right. I think I share your same sentiment. Jamaica, we have so much to work out in terms of our footballing philosophy. I think that's one of the first places that we need to start. If you go in Spain, one of the top notch, from the elementary to the academics to the high school to the preschool to the colleges to the universities, everybody plays that tiki-taka system.
Yes.
So by the time they are supposed to transition into
it's a very smooth
a national setup, whether it's youth setup or the senior setup, everyone has the same philosophy. If you go over to Germany, that Genghis press, that never say die attitude of football, same thing that stems right across.
Jamaica doesn't have.
You go down to Brazil, it's the same samba style that stems right across. You come into CONCACAF, especially in Jamaica.
Yes.
This coach has his philosophy.
Yes.
This coach has his philosophy. This coach has his philosophy. So when you find that group of players coming together, right, it's a different environment.
It's a mixed bunch and the cohesiveness is not there. And because we are not, how these football friendlies are organized and these tournaments are organized, you're not getting enough time to acclimatize to each other's play. And it just looked a little bit disjointed for one reason or another. It just looked a bit disjointed. So I don't know. I'm hoping to see some improvement with this new coach, with a new philosophy. And we get good buy-in from the players and of course the JFF falls in line. But I'm not expecting a great result out of this. But I'm expecting them to play good football. I'm hoping.
Well, another fixture coming up. We have Mexico on the 27th. We have Mexico playing Colombia, 9 p.m. We also have Brazil taking on Tunisia. Brazil looking to run riot right through up to the World Cup. The front line of Brazil right now.
It's fire.
Fire. I don't know. That's what
Fire.
I don't envy that coach right now to make that decision right now because somebody will be left out and they will be left out not because they're not good enough, just because there isn't more seat on the plane. Right?
Yes, indeed.
So somebody will be left out.
Somebody good is going to be left out.
Some good players will be left at home for Brazil.
Yeah, but watching it on television like myself.
We have Canada also featuring Uruguay on the 27th. And we didn't mention Uruguay. Uruguay is another team that have been knocking on the door as well.
Yes.
And, they have a good chance in there. Maybe not for taking that cup home, but in terms of turning some head through the tournament. So we're expecting some good things to come from Uruguay. We also have the United Arab Emirates taking on Venezuela as well. Good. So that would have been our roundup for international fixtures. I hope we have mentioned your team and the one you support. If not, just shout us up and let us know so we don't leave it out next time.
Yeah, man. Well said. We come to the end of the program. It has been a very lively program, in our first program in what promises to be an exciting time of football. We're going to get more interactive. We're going to get some people involved from the community and so forth and so on. And we're just going to have a good time on TTT Radio Sports.
Yes, indeed.
So it's going to be the last time you hear my voice. So it's Zayas Hamilton out.
And this is Sashin Collins. Looking forward to being with you again. And as Sir Hamilton said, we're going to have interactive sessions. So look out for the phone line coming soon. We know you might not agree with us. So we're looking for you to defend your team. This is Sashin Collins, signing out for TTT Sports.
Over and out for now.